Welcome, everyone. We're so grateful that you can be with us in this way. What a miracle. What an absolute miracle that we can stay this connected and so much joy. And I get to see your beautiful faces in this room. And that brings me great joy. I can't wait till the day that we can reunite, but until then, this continues on, and I'm so grateful. So today is the first day of our new series of You Can't Sleep Through Your Awakening by Jane Simmons. And many of you have already gotten the book. We have some copies here. Some of you are picking them up right after service here. And they're available by Kindle instantly. So if you are an electronic person, that's probably the best way for you to get that. So today, the first week, we're going to talk about the red pill awakening. The red pill awakening. You know, I absolutely know and believe that right now, this very moment, more than ever, we all need to awaken to who we have really come here to be. It's not a matter of, maybe soon, but there's a clarion call for both you and I to have this awakening now and to let go of fear, let go of separation, let go of scarcity, let go of competition and greed, and begin to remember our true nature. Our true nature is love. Our true nature is connection, is abundance, is sufficiency, is cooperation. Our true nature is generous, is peaceful, is loving, is joyful. That's who we've come here to be. And I don't know about you, but I can sort of see us getting a little off course in this human journey. And so part of growing is knowing that at some point we have identified with the separate self. That this world calls us to create craft a very big mask so we can survive. It encourages that. There's so much information coming at us all of the time. We're living this sort of fast and furious experience. So one thing this pandemic, I think, has helped us with is to slow down some, to get quiet. So the problem with what happens for us when we're in the world too much is we begin to focus on what is missing, broken, and causing us harm. And we begin to look for things in our world that align with that belief in us, that there's something wrong. Jesus told us to come apart for a while. We need to withhold ourselves from listening to the news, listening to what they want us to focus on, and trust that Spirit has a greater plan at play. So this morning I have a little clip for you, and it has to do with waking up.
You want to know what it is. The matrix is everywhere. It is all around us. Even now, in this very room. You can see it when you look out your window or when you turn on your television. You can feel it when you go to work, when you go to church, when you pay your taxes. It is the world that has been pulled over your eyes to blind you from the truth. What truth? That you are a slave, Neo. Just like everyone else, you were born into bondage, born into a prison that you cannot smell or taste or touch. A prison for your mind. Unfortunately, no one can be told what the Matrix is. You have to see it for yourself. This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill, the story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. Remember, all I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
Anyway, it's from the movie The Matrix, and it has to do with Neo getting the information from his superior that he has a choice, that he could take the red pill or the blue pill. There's it. It's a red pill or a blue pill. And, you know, the blue pill is you take the blue pill and you could go back to sleep and everything is fine. And you get to make everything and everyone what's the matter with you, right? But the red pill, you take the red pill and that opens up a whole new dimension to living. That opens up a whole new world into seeing beyond the illusion through the stories so that we could see what's really happening. That we indeed are the ones co-creating our world. We indeed are the ones that make meaning to everything we see. So, the idea is, you know, are we ready to take the red pill? And the gentleman reminds him that there's no return. Once you take the red pill, you're going in. You're going in to see the illusion of this matrix that got created through the mind construct. And that's where you and I are. You know, if you're in New Thought, if you're in Unity, if you're here, you are awake at some level. And we know the truth that has set us free. And we have moved into recognizing that I am 100% responsible for the way I respond to my life. I'm not responsible for everything that happens, but I am responsible for the way I respond and react and the way I am in the world. So we have a choice every day. We have a choice how we want to see the world. Are we a sense of a separate self? Are we separate from everyone and everything, and there's scarcity and there's not enough? Or are we pure awareness itself? Are we connected with the one presence and one power? Is our mind aligned with the divine? And we identify not as an egoic self with a body, but as a spiritual being that has the essence of a sacred, authentic self. Yes. So it has to do with our identity of who we are, who we've come here to be. So from the book, I want to read to you a definition that Dr. Jane talks about. And it's on page 17, if you do have the book. It's actually defined by Dr. Paul Ray and Sherry Anderson. And they wrote the book, The Cultural Creatives. And this is how they describe awakening. Waking up can be immediately physical, a quiet, deep contact between yourself and everything. It can come on the fruit of a long practice, leaving you melted and grateful. Waking up can be filled with pain, like an ice pick between the shoulder blades or a tearing apart of the soft tissues of the heart. You see how you have harmed someone or betrayed yourself or failed to speak out against injustice. You begin to see that. And you recognize poverty, loneliness, grief that you have resolutely walked past for a lifetime. So waking up is what you and I are here to do. Waking up is our purpose. And spiritual awakening involves waking up to the radiant, boundless, energetic, sacred, authentic self. That's what I named it. Everybody calls it something different: the essence, the divine, the Christ presence, the essential self. It doesn't matter what we call it, but it's how we identify. Do we identify with that or the stagnant, ego-based self-image? So we shift from being a mind-centered entity to an awareness-centered non-entity. And we move from a separate sense of self to an expanded sense of a greater presence. And this presence is connected to all that is. There is an interdependency, an interconnectedness to all of life. And we enter into this conscious state of oneness. You know this. Yes? Yes. You know this. We've all had these moments of awakening. Now, most of the time we don't stay there. I know that my goal is to be there in all ways, all moments. But we do go back to sleep. So we need practices, we need methods, we need support in order for us to remember who and what we are. So as our awakening blossoms, we actually begin to fully realize that we are spiritual beings having a human experience. You've heard that many times. But there is an awareness, there's a recognition of that. This is the wakeful experience. And so in this expanded state, there's more spaciousness, and we become aware of awareness itself. And there's this incredible innate joy that comes when we unhook from this mind-made self. So awakeness is at hand. Awakeness is here and now. Awakeness is not an external experience. It's a shift in the way in which we see. It's a shift in seeing through something. Yeah. Remember the pictures that used to go around a few years back? And this book I recently looked up, they're called A Magic Eye. But there's this geometric, just a bunch of nonsensical parts put together, lots of colors and dimensions. And if you stare at this image, actually sort of like looking through it, you can't look at it, you actually have to look through it. And if you're able to do that, it's a relaxing of the mind, it's not an efforting experience. But if you're able to do that, what pops out is this three-dimensional experience. And all of a sudden, what wasn't there a second ago appears in this deep dimension of reality. And it's this magical moment when you're like, whoa, what happened? And all these images got put into place by you relaxing the mind. It's not a forced experience, it's an undoing. It's a non-efforting experience. So you can see that. Many of you have seen those experiences, but it's a shift in perception. It's a shift in perception. And after you see this geometric picture that doesn't make any sense, when you focus your attention on the other side of that one dimension, it pops out. And that's what waking up is for me. Nothing is different there, out here. But it's the way I see it. It's the way I'm looking at the world that it begins to change. And my relationship to the world changes because of this awakened state. So I know that we are here to awaken. Unity Worldwide Ministries' vision is a world powerfully transformed through the growing movement of a shared spiritual awakening. I am all about that. I can get so excited when I think about our movement visualizing a world where we're all awake. Because having had my own awakening several times in this embodiment, I know that's what we're here to do. And each time I go deeper and deeper into that experience, I don't want to ever leave it. I just want to be there in that dominion. That is the kingdom of heaven. That is the kingdom of heaven. So this book is going to help us with practices. Dr. Jane talks about using FACES, F-A-C-E-S, forgive, appreciate, feel compassion, and embody. So she's going to support us in waking up through those practices. And so I'm going to strongly encourage that you join one of our study groups. And they're all on Zoom right now. And remember, it's a shared spiritual awakening. So, Jesus also wanted us to gather together in community. So it's not about me having an experience and saying, yeah, woe is you. I wish you could be where I am. It's about sharing this so that we're all transforming. All of us. No one gets left out. No one gets left out. So she mentions in the book that I really appreciate in New Thought and in our way of being in unity. We look at two ways of being in the world. And Robert Brummert was here not long ago, and he talked about the difference between translational and transformational shifts. And transformational practices help us awaken from a dream of being unconscious. And translational practices sort of spruce up the dream, make it more comfortable. So both of these translational and transformational practices have merit. One is just very different. Translational practices are more like affirmations. They're more like vision boards or mapping, treasure mapping. They're more about finding a new job, right, to fulfill the need for financial sustainability and creative self-expression. But transformational practices might use those, but goes deeper and explores what's beyond the identity of the job. Goes beyond to say, wow, this experience happened to me. Maybe I can use it to express more of who I've come here to be. So maybe this job loss can be a blessing. Maybe my soul is calling for a different expression. Maybe my soul is calling for a greater expression. So it's using practices that give us a bigger identity and not a smaller identity. So I'll get into more of that another time, but it's such a beautiful idea. And as you know, what I'm about is transformational. And that's not always easy to do. Transformational practices aren't always the comfortable place. And when I got here, I told you that some of you, I'm here to comfort the afflicted and afflict the comfortable. So the transformation doesn't happen always when we're in this zone of comfort. Transformation usually happens when we're out of our comfort zone, when we're out of the unknown territory, when we have broken through a whole new understanding. So I'm hoping that we can be a full-service ministry, right? That we can be both. That we can offer things that help us, support us, and translate the world so that we are more comfortable, that we are in a field that supports us in growing. So there's definitely, absolutely room for that. And in my journey of spiritual awakening, what I found was the very first step was to absolutely surrender. And I found that out, as you may recall, over 30 years ago when I struggled in an alcohol addiction. And I was very into that addiction. And my life was unmanageable. I was powerless over this thing, and I just couldn't, on my own, figure out a way out. And so what I know is my brother also suffered with the same addiction. And the reason I share that is because he was not able to stay in that field of wakefulness. And the only difference is I know that I am not any better than anybody else, that I have no more space for God's grace than you or my brother. But I was so sincere about waking up, about doing life differently, that I completely surrendered my will and my way and my life over to a God of my knowing. And so for me, that is the first step into a real deep spiritual awakening, is we have to surrender our self. That could be the egoic self. You may not be struggling with an addiction, but you may have that need to be right all the time, whatever that is. So Jesus came to teach us so many beautiful ways. And in Luke, he says in 17, then he said to them, get up and go on your way. Your faith has made you well. This is the coming of the kingdom. Once Jesus was asked by the Pharisees from the Bible when the kingdom of God was coming, and he answered, the kingdom of God is not coming with things that can be observed, nor will they say, look, it is here. Look, it is here. In fact, the kingdom of God is within you, Jesus said. It's not out there. And he said, the days are coming when you will long to see one of the days of the Son of God. And you will not see it. And they will say, look here, look there. Do not go, Jesus says. Do not set off in pursuit. So his teaching, again, was it's your joy, your answers, your soul searching is not out there in the next job. It is an internal shift in conscious awareness of your oneness with source energy. That is the journey, an inward journey. So our affirmation this week is every challenge in my life is an opportunity for self-transformation. Every challenge in my life is an opportunity for self-transformation. So today, we set ourselves free. We can set ourselves free by choosing today to surrender our will over to a greater will. And this awakening is waiting for every single one of us because that is our true nature. It doesn't make you better or smarter than anyone else. It just sets you free. It sets you free from the mind construct that continues to separate you from God. And it sets you free from conflict, worry, and fear. And it brings you back to this deep, deep inner peace of trusting and knowing that you are here for something magnificent to be expressed through you. So join us on this journey of awakening. May I? Thank you. So I've got some folks online that we'd like to honor their mothers. So from Bonita, I miss my mother, Bernice Jackson. She's in heaven. Happy Mother's Day. From your number one daughter, Bonita, my mom and I became best friends towards the end of her life. She used to thank me all of the time for being here in Hawaii. She used to thank me for being her number one daughter. And from Mary Thomas, happy Mother's Day to all the mothers and grandmothers and the great-grandmothers of your ministry. Thank you, Mary Thomas. Thank you. And from Peter Christopher, nice to be here with everyone. Blessings to each of you and the mothers in our lives. And lastly, from Debbie Catania, good and glorious morning, everyone. Happy Mother's Day to all of our beloved mothers. God bless you. Thank you so much.